What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the soon-to-be dad, Kevin Coello.
What up, dude?
Not much, man. How are you?
Good. Really excited. Soon, you say, but it seems so far away
It isn't. If you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, there's a little movie coming up called Joker Folie à Deux. And in the middle of that, the very, very beginning, Kevin surprised all of Kind of Funny by telling us him and his lovely wife, Paula, are expecting their first child.
Right.
October 8th.
That's
Ben's
the
birthday.
date.
My son's birthday. You're trying to steal from him.
That's funny.
I appreciate that, though.
Yeah. I hope the baby gets here a week early. 8 days early.
You want to be in September?
September 30th is my wedding anniversary. It was my father's birthday. It was my parents' wedding anniversary as well. My sister also got married. She was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, do you mind if we also get married on the 30th?" And I was like, "Yeah, go for it."
Yeah.
So I just think it'd be so perfect.
That's awesome. I love a good kismet story like that. I forget what it was. My mom will kill me, but my grandfather's birthday was very similar, where it was like October 1st, I want to say ish. So it was like we were in spitting distance of it might actually happen that way or move that way. Do you feel the importance of that date? Do you feel something special?
Yeah, definitely. Now that because me and my siblings got together after Carol had talked to me, my sister that got married.
Yeah.
And they were like, could we is it weird if we all do it? And it's like, no, it's fun. It'll be like a family thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like that we're within spitting distance there. Like it just seems like, oh, maybe it's a possibility, but we'll see. It doesn't really matter. The fact that we were told October 8th is so exciting that was the date they told us, and I had to immediately text him and be like, wait, when's Ben's birthday? Because I remember.
I like how I asked no questions.
Yeah.
I was like, you want my son's birthday out of the middle of nowhere, Kevin? No big deal.
October 10th was the day.
No, he was due on October 7th.
Oh, okay.
And it looked like we were going to hit it, and then he decided to take his time. He took some time there, you know what I mean, to make it happen. Yeah. So that's the thing. You can't even trust him. When it all starts, Kevin, you can't trust him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my niece was, I think she was June 20th.
Okay.
But the date, we did all a little pool in my family, and I think I had said the 19th, and my sister called me, she's like, hey, my husband's car is broken. Can you take us to the hospital? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh, it's the 19th. I nailed it. And of course she was like, no, let's wait outside for a little bit. Because if I go in after I don't know, midnight, I get an extra day. And I was like, I don't
American healthcare, everybody.
I don't think you're, we need to do that. But
yeah.
She ended up going in on the 19th, but took 2 days to
Yeah,
to get
I
there.
jinxed it bad when I texted Snowbike Mike the morning of, because in the Kind of Funny pool, he had actual due date of the 7th. And I was like, bro, we slept here overnight. They're saying we're going to meet him by lunch. You're going to win the pool. And then Ben's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll threaten everyone's lives for a while. I'll threaten everyone's lives, including my own, to get there or whatever. So yeah, that's where we are. I have so many questions for you. Let's get through the rigmarole first, okay? Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny podcast. If you didn't know, each and every week, 4, sometimes 2 best friends gather around this table, each coming to talk to you about whatever it is they want to talk about. Of course, if you love us, you should support us with the Kind of Funny membership. With the Kind of Funny membership, you get each and every episode of the Kind of Funny podcast and all of our shows ad-free. You get the ability to watch live and be part of the show, just like DJ Kento is, Cody Hagler is, Zach Roach is, and so many more are. Of course, I need your questions for Kevin and me about fatherhood as we launch off on this journey here on this podcast. So make sure you're popping off there, Trogs, and doing your thing. Of course, with the Kind of Funny membership, like I said, ad-free vlogs, you get the Greg way, you get everything else every day, ad-free content. It's great. It's been a day already of content here at Kind of Funny. It's been a week, if you didn't notice. We're now doing the Gamescast each and every weekday, and all of Kind of Funny's content has moved over to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. So you, if you're watching this video, are enjoying it on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, welcome to the new home of the Kind of Funny podcast, the Kind of Funny screencast, trailer reacts, and of course, all our gaming content. Our old channel, youtube.com/kindoffunny, is still kicking as the Kind of Funny highlights channel, where the best moments of our podcast and discussions will be broken out for you to enjoy in a bite-sized format. Today so far, of course, here for the Kind of Funny members, they know We did the Kind of Funny Games Daily episode about Xbox's SGF showcase in June. We talked about the Fallout Season 1 spoiler cast on the Games Cast, and Nick just had a hellacious ending to his latest installment of the Nuzlocke Pokemon stream. You guys have been killing that. Really proud of you guys.
It's been so much fun. I'm really happy. I don't know if it was Andy or I think it might have been Mike that like spearheaded this. Andy certainly built everything to make the game look incredible and have you be the rival.
It was that second where like when we were watching and they're like, Greg's gonna use a heal on Charizard. This is how I was like, oh right. I'm the rival in the game. They're not talking about real Greg.
So intense though. Like every other stream, like I'm on the edge of the seat. My heart, like I'm looking at my heart rate and it's like 109. Great, that's too high.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we couldn't do this without your support on patreon.com/kindoffunny. Thank you to our Patreon producers, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, Kieran Hovasapian, Carl Jacobs, Kishan Patel, Kieran Lindener, and of course, Nathan Lamoth. Today, we're brought to you by Aura Frames, but we'll talk about that later. Kevin? You know, it's my duty to make sure every child in my life is raised right. So there's your first group. It says happy birthday because that's the wrapping paper we have around here.
Do I open it now?
Yeah, open it now.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Is it Ghostbusters?
You got to start building out this nursery.
Yep, there it is.
There's, ladies and gentlemen.
You know me. The nursery is nearly built.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
I don't waste any time. This is great.
I think the number one thing, and I'll be interested, I'm going to have so many interesting if you're an audio listener, it's 3 different Ghostbusters books, 3 different Ghostbuster board books, the Golden Book, 1 to 10 Slimer's Loose Again, and of course, Ghostbusters Book of Shapes. I'll be interested to see in this conversation what your interpretation of children is. Because I feel like obviously you and I have had such different upbringings, being in a family with siblings, right? So you've been around children of some degree. What's the difference between you and Spencer? I forget.
It's almost 10 years. He's a month away from being 10 years.
Okay, and what about your sister?
My eldest sister is 7 years, and then sister number 2 is 6 years.
So with Spencer, like you were cognizant of a baby in the house.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And as an only child, I never had that. And so what a shocking thing for me becoming a father was, and this is going to sound so stupid, but stick with me, everyone, was how fucking crazy it is to bring a child into the world. And so, like, to give you books ahead of time and to have the excitement I have for you to have a child is amplified not only by my own enjoyment of having a son, but by the fact that I know before I had Ben and my friends had kids, it would be oh, that's really cool. Congratulations. What's on the registry? Give you a thing. And then kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
Like I've apologized to Poe about it. Poe, of course, has a son named Jack, who's 10 years old now, who I love to death and all these different things. But once I had Ben, it really was like, oh man, I should have been hitting you up on his birthday. Like, I never thought about that being a thing for you and this, that, the other, and da-da-da-da, and how much those little things meant. Like,
but I think with Poe, like, you're having moments now where, like, Jack, it was like, Jack, what do you want to do for spring break? Come and hang out and play games? And, like, you're doing that. So, like, you know, you didn't know then, but you're still, you know, utilizing the ability you have to have him have
for
a good
sure.
time.
And but it is that idea of, like, you know, I think in what you're going through, even though in a way you've seen it with your own mother and your brother, right, is the idea that, like, for real, it's something I've never talked about on the podcast before because it just doesn't come up, right? But for real, if you haven't been around a woman having a child, like, you talk about the miracle of childbirth. But like, legitimately, it is batshit crazy to watch your partner or friend or mother, whoever's human body do this. And I think, again, having it be your partner, someone you're there with 24/7, and not to mention your child, so you're watching it so much more closely, like, to see their body change, that this is what it was designed for, that this is, like, it was, like, ludicrous to me of, like, oh my God, like, I never thought about it in this way. Like, are you having that already? Is that not news to you?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's just a little early because, like, we're just not seeing that yet. Like, you know,
you're like halfway there, right?
Yeah,
we were talking about this earlier.
I think we're at 17 weeks since everything has to be weeks for this now. Yeah, which is like 4 months and like a week and maybe. Yeah, that's right, 4 months and a week. So we're still a little bit away from like actually seeing it. Yeah. So it's.
Yeah, I saw Paula put up an Instagram post. She was like, whatever weeks, and she was kind of posing. I'm like, oh, you don't even know.
Yeah.
You don't even know what that belly's about to look like.
I haven't I mean, there's restrictions that we've had to deal with, and like
sure, what not to eat,
right,
what not to talk about.
Yeah. Also, like just her being tired, more tired than normal.
Yeah. That first trimester's a bitch.
Yeah. It was really tough. Yeah. And like, or her sleep, like being a little bit more touchy, and like she'd wake up to go to the restroom, and I'd be snoring, so then she'd have to wake me up to be like, hey, stop snoring. And
Roll over, what the hell are you doing?
So and then I had to I'm like, I gotta go on a diet, because like I know my body very well, and it's like if I hit a certain threshold, I stop snoring. So like we did that. I've hit that threshold.
I love that.
I'm also trying to be healthier, because like something
you'd like to see the kid grow up. I'm familiar with that as well. But
it's even more than that. There was a argument. My mom was just being mean, and she was like, your dad at your age, your dad didn't look like that. And I was like, well, yeah, but like whenever I knew my dad, he looked like what I look like now. And then I was like, I probably try to get healthier just for that, of like,
I don't want to look worse than my dad did.
Well, no, it's like I want, like, my kid is probably going to grow up, eating the stuff that I'm eating. And it's like one of those things, like, I'm unhealthy because I grew up eating junk food with my father,
Yeah. That's a great point. One thing I wanted to point out and ask you at the top of the show is we audience members, we don't know the sex of your child, right?
Yes, yeah, we haven't announced that yet.
Perfect. So I want to make sure that throughout the show we're going to use they, she, he interchangeably whenever we talk about it. I don't want anybody getting hung up on it. I legitimately don't know, so it's whatever. Back to it though, like that is something, as you know, I'm not a picky eater. I'm not Snow Mike about it, where I won't eat a fucking egg, all right? But I know I don't like beans. Right, I know that I don't like onions in many instances or whatever. When we were
beans are so good.
They're bad. They aren't good.
They just freak you out because you look at them.
Bags of sand. Bags of sand. I know. Anyways, in the build up to it, Jen was like, you're gonna have to get over that. Like, you're gonna have to be ready to eat whatever, because we want the baby to eat whatever. You know what I mean? And I was like, I will do my best. I will do whatever. And like, to be where we are now, where Ben's like favorite food is rice and beans. Like, that's what that kid's doing. When he goes out, he goes to the birthday parties and the kids are having cupcakes or pizza, he's eating broccoli and carrots. Like, that's like I am hopeful to keep that going with him, because I'm the same way of like, I wasn't like raised on pure junk food, but it is that idea that like, I don't remember eating as many fruits and veggies as Ben is eating right now. And I'd rather him be that way. And I know so much of that is Jen planning menus and making sure what it is, of like what it's got to be. But like, you talking about your dad and how he looked when you were raised him, how much are you thinking about your father now? Like, as you're about to set off on your own fatherhood journey.
It's still like I said at the start of this, it still feels so far away.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm setting up a room and finding things to like fit the aesthetic that we've chosen. But like, it still seems so distant. I don't know. I haven't had too many moments to sit down and reflect on like think back on my father. I've had moments where I have a rocking chair in that room, and it's an old wooden rocking chair that was like Paula's grandma's.
Yeah.
And I'll go in there, and I've got my I can't remember what the name of the book. I think it's So We're Expecting or something like that. It's a book for men.
Oh, okay. Isn't that What to Expect When We're Expecting?
No. I hear that's out of date. Paula has that. But
I commented on Paula's Instagram, and Jen did too, and then Jen had a conversation with her the other day. Yeah. It's very specific.
I told her, I was like, I think there's some things that are a little scarier in there.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. So I'll go in there, use the rocking chair, have the lights on, and like I was doing this when the room was totally empty, and I would just sit there, read the book, and just kind of like look around and visualize what like I want the room to look like.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like I haven't had much time to like think about my parents, and it still seems so distant.
Yeah.
And I know it's not.
I'm not gonna be that guy. I mean, like that's, I mean, if there was a piece of advice, which you're not asking me for, but I'm giving you no matter what, of where we're at now, it is the fact that like you are about to introduce an element to your life that shows you how fast time moves.
Yeah.
Where I think, both for me and you at IGN and for me being there longer, and then definitely for Kind of Funny. Like, I used to describe IGN very much as if you wanted it to be, it could be Neverland, where you go out and drink with your friends every weekend and like you're just living the same San Francisco life, and even to Kind of Funny it a bit, where it is like we get to come every day and hang out with our best friends and talk about toys. Play That's Pokemon. Awesome, right? In Pokemon, yeah, play Pokemon. It's that idea that like, when you sit here and you go, oh, well, we've been in the studio a little over a year. Oh, well, the company's almost a decade old. Like, all that sounds big, but it's hard to visualize. Whereas with Ben and like getting those touchstones of you guys coming to, like the first time I brought him here to the studio, right? And he cried when he saw you and he was in the little thing, versus him riding his scooter around here at Super Bowl, versus the fact that like, you know, I'm having full blown conversations with him and he's telling me about his day now and what he wants to do and what he doesn't want to do. Like, the fact that that's 2.5 years in, like, you're like, oh my God, that's gone so fast. And like, again, advice I would give you, right, is like, and I don't know, and I don't ever mean to put you in a corner of like, I don't know your personal experience, right? Having Spencer and stuff like that and how much you knew it. It caught me so off guard that by the time I realized, and this sounds goofy, I needed to treat it like Kind of Funny Live, I had missed so much. And what I mean by that is that the first Kind of Funny Live, whirlwind. Troy Baker, audience members, signings, meetings, we're going to the movies, we're doing, like, when it was all said and done, it was like, oh, that was awesome. But then it was like, what tangible memories do I have out of it? I was too busy living it to enjoy it. And so Kind of Funny Live 2 was so different of like, I went into the audience, I did this thing, I made sure to go talk to people. Like, you spend all this time getting ready for the baby, and I was so much like you, where it was like, oh, well, it's still so far away, or this isn't real, or da-da-da-da-da. And like I told you, like, the first moment where it was like, oh, this is like a physical thing is when I was building the stroller. And then for me, it was also when, you know, Jen's mom, God rest her soul, came out and we put together the room, and it was the crib and the chair and putting things on the wall. And like, there's this great photo of me measuring something, and I have the pencil in my mouth, and she's folding something. And it was just like that was a moment of like, oh, this is real, and this is about to be a thing and take up my space. But beyond all of that, it was like those hospital days where for me, there was the trauma of how it all started and went, then the euphoria of having Ben and hanging out longer. But then, even though people will tell you time is a thief and they will tell you it goes faster than you understand, it isn't till you're looking back and he's controlling his neck and doing these things and rolling around, where it's like, oh my God, like I didn't understand, as never having been around a baby before, that like him being that newborn tiny thing is changing by the day, the second, the moment, you know what I mean? And like, I wish I had taken more mental photographs of that I had those moments, because I have so many distinct, like, again, PTSD moments of his birth and being there in the aftermath, but then like calling my mom and talking to her and sending texts and doing this and like changing the first diaper, sure, but like, you know, I always talk about it. You've heard me say it before of like when Porty almost passed at like 10 years when he got sick, and then he didn't, and I had those extra years with him, and it was that thing of smell him, squeeze him, feel him, know what it felt like, and don't lose that memory. I have that so good. I never thought about that with Ben as a newborn, because again, like, he's going to be here, knock on wood, a long, long time. Right. But I wasn't realizing of like, oh, right, these phases are going to go so fast. Quick, you know what I mean? To sit here like, you know, in March, right, we just passed the anniversary of Jen's mom being gone a year. And to be there and be like, remember a year ago, he wasn't talking. Like, you know what I mean? Now he's stringing together complex sentences and thoughts and all this stuff. And it's like, it all happened so fast. You know, we're booked for a preschool already. It's like, that's insane. So like, even though it doesn't seem like it's imminent, I'm sorry to monologue during your episode.
It's good. No.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's our episode.
I appreciate that, Daddy Cast. Like, even though it's not, you know, real, it is real. You know what I mean? And like, especially like, even though we're so similar and so close, like, you know, for it to be the flashback of like when Jen would go in for sonograms, and I couldn't go in because it was COVID. You know what I mean? Of like those moments of you, like, it's just crazy to think about.
Well, they still don't let you in till like the very end.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just have to sit in a waiting room for like 20 minutes, and then later they're like, all right, come in. And then you get to see it, but it is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it doesn't feel real, but you're working on the room and doing these things.
It's not that it doesn't feel real. It feels real. It just feels so far away that it's not tangible yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I remember. I think I feel you on that, and I think it was like with 2 months to go, a month and a half, where it was suddenly like when it needed to be that I was like touch and go for content, where I was like, oh shit, fuck, this is a real thing. This is a real thing. So like, even though it's far away, then how are you feeling?
I mean, excited.
Yeah.
Like I think that's really the number one thing of just like I can't wait to be holding this little baby. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just like I'm also excited to get to the place where it's like I can feel this baby kicking, but like hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And like it was surreal. Last time we went in, they were supposed to do the little Doppler, right? So you can hear the heartbeats, but the Doppler machine the doctor was using was broken. So she was like, "Here, I'll just do a sonogram," and then she did the sonogram. And suddenly there was so much more movement where like the last time we saw a sonogram, there was no movement.
Little peanut.
And now it was like you could see limbs moving. And it just was like, this is so awesome. Like I wish I like had recorded that. Yeah. So I guess I am seeing those moments and being like, I gotta be faster on the draw.
Well, I think so much of it is living it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And taking the mental snapshot where it's like, I wish I had more photos in the hospital. But I have the first time we had the heartbeat and all that on camera, and I've gone back
that as well.
so few times. But
Oh,
I'm
really?
glad I mean, like, it's very much when you're talking about it and showing and you're in the lead up to it, I think you use all of that way more. But then once it's a thing, when there's a person there.
I found myself, like, I've gone back to the footage of, like, telling you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
oh my god, dude.
Yeah, it's so like I wanted to do it. It's not that I wanted to do it more privately, but I was just like, oh, that makes more sense to. But we could not find in the 2 weeks beforehand a moment where we had like a tiny moment, and then Andy was out, and it was just like, it's okay. No, and then it was like I misread the calendar. And the WWE thing was starting 30 minutes
fucking this
earlier.
Is awesome.
You know,
number one show.
No, not that one. The other one. The not so.
Oh, fucking WrestleMania ranked. Oh god, we preempted the announcement for WrestleMania ranked. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just one of these things that like I kept trying to find little moments and I just couldn't. But like I'm so happy when we were setting it all up. I saw Roger go to the center camera there and put a hard drive in. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna have a hard drive here so I can grab a still for the thumbnail. And I was just like, thank God, because like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know if I record this using OBS, it's gonna be this small shot, so it like won't be in the best quality. And like, sure enough, he edited something together. So I've revisited that video. I've revisited the video of telling Paula's parents and telling my family. Yeah, I love having the reactions.
Yeah.
I told Tim and Cool Greg like. I think it was a week and a half prior.
Yeah.
And like me and Cool Greg were going to Costco to get LaCroix for the office.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna test this thing out right here, and I put it down. And I told him, and it like I have that video, and it's like it fills me with like happiness and warmth to rewatch their reactions and like examine it and just have that. So I don't know. I'm feel very lucky that I was able to tell everyone and capture it. It's just and I keep finding myself revisiting those moments. Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
You remember I did on the Kind of Funny podcast for an intro for us during COVID.
I remember very well.
Yeah, like
it was someone's birthday, right? Or
it was. We acted like it was up. I tried to act like it was up, down. You can see the video. Tim saw through it immediately. I'm sure he's too smart. I hate.
No, I don't. I think you got us all good.
Okay, well, but it was like I went and watched that a bunch. You know what I mean? Because that's such a profound moment. You know what I mean? And that's awesome that you have it for the family and everybody else like that. I was way too clever with mine.
Yeah?
Yeah. Jen and I were moving already, and like we had Lucy living with us.
Right.
So when I would call them,
did Lucy find out like immediately?
Yeah. We told her real quick. Yeah. Of course, like there's things around. You saw it all around the house. You know what I mean, or whatever. And again,
but I mean, like for Avery, who lives in a separate unit in my house.
Yeah.
Like we hit her up like 15 minutes after finding out. Like we were just like, oh, there's no holding this in.
Yeah.
And had her come up, and we're like, oh yeah, we're doing Paula's office. Come look at this the painting that Paula's doing on the wallpaper.
Yeah.
And like in the background as Paula's like I don't know how it looks. I'm like, it looks great. And like the end of the call, we're like, oh, we got her good. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, no, ours was way more low key.
Yeah.
Just totally loose because like, and it was a journey too, right? Where it was like, it was taking too long. So we thought maybe we had to do IVF. So there was a whole bunch of stuff that we were gearing up for before it naturally happened. But no, like with my family, like I called all of them and was talking about like, oh, moving to this house and doing this thing. And I was like, we are going to have another roommate. And I'm like, yeah, he's gonna sleep in a crib, and like it went over everyone's fucking head. Everyone was, I don't even know.
San Francisco folks crazy cribs.
I don't know. It just shows how much my parents listen to me on the phone, like what I'm actually saying, right?
So good.
Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, this is a not only a touchstone, awesome memory, but like so cool for a COVID time where we were so apart. I break down in tears talking about it.
Yeah.
And I do love where it's like you immediately mute and start telling Paula.
Well, I think I asked you. I was like,
no, you did. I think it was afterwards where I was like, we're not telling anybody. You're like, I told Paula. I'm like, that's fine. Telling Paula's fine. Like, you don't have to worry about that. It was more, I didn't want to go out. Because again, like there's that, especially for us and how hard it was. But there is that fear of God of like,
oh yeah,
it isn't locked in until this date. And even then it's not locked in, right?
Yeah. And like that waiting was awful. Mm-hmm. Oh man, like I think it was 2.5 months, something like that. You have to wait, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
you want to be at around 3 months, or
I think it's almost through the first
4, right?
Yeah.
And that was like the amount of times that we were in the office and we were about to start the morning meeting. I was like, I should just tell him. I should just announce it right now.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. It's like, no. You want to have this moment saved.
And that was the thing with me and Ben, and I've told you this off camera, but like it was that, like, I forget what game we were playing, if it was I had you on Avengers or Division or whatever, where there were so many times I got to the precipice of it. Because like, oh man, I'm choking up. You know how much I love you, and you know how much I think of you and how highly I regard you. And it is that fact, and I know I've talked about it on shows before, where it'll always warm my heart if I forget what it was, where I was talking to somebody and it was who doesn't know us well, and I was like, oh well, Kevin's basically Superman, like he'd be there for you, and and you're like, that's the nicest thing anyone said.
Yeah.
But I've said to you before of like I feel like you are the office dad. Like I feel like you were born to be a father, and I feel like this is my lens obviously. But in the way I think of the people who mean the most to me in Missouri and like the quality of people they are, like that's you. Where, you know what I mean? Like you'll go out of your way to help anybody. You know what I mean? I've seen you do it time and time again, though I envy the way you're able to foster, nurture, and keep relationships and friendships. And that's because you're willing to bend over backwards and do anything for anybody you love in your life. Yeah. I'd like to hope that I touch that in some way, but not to the level you do.
You're very sweet, yeah.
And so, like, to see you setting off on this journey, I'm so excited. You know what I mean? And like, not to mention because we're sick of being the only parents in the Kind of Funny family, but just the fact that like you're gonna crush this so much, like you're gonna have such a good time, and like I can't wait to see.
Like there is a little bit of scariness to it, right?
Sure.
Of like you're making a person, like
yeah.
like the bad habits that you have, if you're not careful, they might have those too, and it's like, how do you work on that? It's all stressful, but it's also that's further away,
Yeah, I think it is, and I wonder so much of how better prepared our generation is for it than our parents and their parents before. And that's how it's supposed to work, is that generations get better and better at it. But, like, there's all these statistics that are thrown around of like, dads today spend 89% more time with their child than they did, you know what I mean?
Right.
People 2 generations are going to never change a diaper. And like, I buy all that. I believe all that. Mm-hmm. And again, like, you will get this, I'm sure, as I did on the street, but like, the bar is so low for fathers where like there's so many times of me not even changing a diaper, but when I do change it, holding the baby while Jen at the farmer's market, and like people coming up and be like, you're the best dad I've seen this week. And not doing it in just I'm patting you on the back way, but like legitimately, like I was not raised around this. And it's like, holy shit.
It's already happened to me with my niece.
Wow.
Like where like there was one time Paula, we hadn't told the family yet, and it was like, I think she's only had a couple days of really bad morning sickness, and this was one of those days where she was like, I'm just gonna stay in bed, I'm sorry, we can cancel. And I was like, no, I think I can handle my niece on my own, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I took her to the zoo, and it's just like, you have a couple moments where people will be like, you're doing great, and it's like, what?
Yeah, it was like you're doing the lowest common denominator stuff. Like the hard stuff comes other places or do whatever, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's crazy to think about that. So it's like, yeah, there's fear, but like, it's also one of the most comforting things that I've ever heard, and you will see a million fucking times from here on out, right? Is like, only great parents think they're doing bad or worry about doing bad, right? Like when you're a shitty parent, you don't ever think about it, or you're a shitty parent. But it's like, you know what I mean? The thought of, oh man, did I just scar them for life? Is a thought that other people who just aren't worrying about it don't worry about it. And that's been what's so, shocking to a degree with Ben, is like how from the jump natural it's been. Where it's been, I said Ben like 5 times there, and it's 3 different contexts, but how easy it's been in like, even those first 2 weeks at home during maternity leave, where like he just became part of the unit. He's just he's in the boppy on the table while we eat dinner or whatever, right? And then as that's evolved into running around Home Depot while I try to fucking find the goddamn doorknobs I need, you know what I mean? Like, he just fits into the unit in the thing and what we're doing in the way that it's like, oh man, this is natural, which is crazy then for me to harken back to, you know me for quite some time now, and how pre-Jen I was so anti-kids. And it was that first date where she's like, yeah, I want, maybe 1 or 2. And I was like, okay, in my head. And I was like, what the fuck? And I had to do, blah, blah. But it's like, from that moment, it's just been that natural for it. And like, again, back to you, like everything I see out of you, like if anything, I'm more nervous about you running circles around me as a father, because that's the thing of like the amount of times I take naps or the amount of times I'm stressed out and leave early or whatever, and I know how Kevin's gonna be here, kid strapped to his chest, running the show, doing the thing, whatever.
I wish.
Whatever it needs to be to make happen.
Have you seen
we'll get that kid to learn how to run a show or two, like,
oh, we finally get rid of Barrett, great. No, Barrett, I love you.
It's so funny going into a baby store and just being like, they've got the little
earmuff
soundproof, but they look like the adult ones, and it's like, why is this just sized down? Like, you couldn't make it cuter.
Yeah,
but it is like, oh man, does DeWalt make some of these?
Yeah, they gotta be out there doing it. Let me tell you, you're gonna love it if you haven't seen it already. But every first Sunday of the month, maybe second or first Saturday of the month or second Saturday of the month, Home Depot. Yeah. Oh, we've been enjoying those. Yeah. You take them there, you do the thing. Yeah.
See, I'm worried I'm gonna be like, no, you got to do it like this. So it's like, you got to like think about how to let them discover stuff and learn.
For sure.
Just like, it's when I start thinking of that, that's where it's like, oh, that's overwhelming, of like, I have to give this kid space to figure stuff out too.
Yeah.
But again, far away. Don't have to worry about that yet.
And that's again, like, advice, right, is like, it's one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it was like Jen and I solving the problem for the next phase or leap we were about to go through, and then it is the idea. We'd have conversations with our neighbor where they're like, well, what about preschool and TK? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. That's another language. We are a year away from that. I will cross that bridge when we get there. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
That's like, it's like planning for like, okay, now we have to have conversations about what we're gonna be doing, or like,
how long are we staying in this house?
Yeah. Well, that's 2 different thoughts on that. My parents bought my house when I was 6, and like my mom still lives in it. Yeah. So like in my mentality of like, hey, you got a house in the Bay Area, you never leave it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows how long that's gonna like continue for us? But like, the amount of remodeling we've been doing for our house, because it's like, we had it set up as 3 separate units. Yeah. Because we were renting space out to Mike and Joey, and it's funny, we were planning on meeting with them and being like, all right, man, I think this is the last time
to sunset
we want to extend the lease. You guys all have a year to sort it all out and find a new spot. But they actually came and were like, oh, we found a spot. And I was like, oh, this is really perfect. Yeah. Which gave us time to like remodel, and it's like, we've combined the top 2 floors, and now, have access to this giant dining room that like, I can't wait to have these big family moments around, Yeah. It's so exciting. And I'm also very happy the construction's finally done.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully we don't do construction for a while.
Yeah. Well, that was the big thing. You remember when we moved, it was that, we did a basement renovation job, and it was, we wanted to do more. And they were like, well, if you do that, it'll go up to like September. Yeah. And we were like, you can just do the bare minimum. Yeah. And like, I look around all the time where I'm like, I should have done the fucking full thing. But it's like, that would have stretched into October and a stressor I did not need.
There are spaces where it's like, we don't need 2 kitchens.
Yeah.
Like, we should demo this wall and just have it be a big living room. And it's just like, look, money, it goes real quick when you're buying a bunch of stuff. 100%. And it's just like, okay, we don't need to do this. We'll work with it. It'll be fine. And like knowing that we probably won't be able to have construction go on in the house for a couple years.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah. Man, so exciting, so wild. I can't believe it.
I want to talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, fun times happen all the time on Kinda Funny, and it only happens with your support as a Kinda Funny member. If you're a Kinda Funny member, of course, on YouTube or Patreon, you get the freaking benefit of saying, I took care of these people. I said this was a good show and I want to support it. Plus, you get everything ad-free. You get the ability to watch the afternoon podcast like this one live as we record it. I'm still looking at the chat. I'll be looking for your questions towards the back half. And of course, you could get my daily video experience Greg way, where sometimes I don't even do it because a rap disc track dropped and Blessing and Roger had to talk about it.
I get so excited when they do that.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
There was some confusion.
Watch the video.
There was confusion over who Haley Joel Osment was by the person today.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
That kid
Ladies
from
and
Star
gentlemen.
Wars?
Yeah.
Secondhand lines.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I see dead people. That one.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sixth Sense.
That's Sixth Sense. That's right.
I digress, ladies and gentlemen. You're not using your Kinda Funny membership, so here's a word from our sponsor. Looking for the perfect gift to celebrate the moms in your life? Aura frames are beautiful Wi-Fi connected digital picture frames that allow you to share and display unlimited photos. It's super easy to upload and share photos via the Aura app, and if you're giving Aura as a gift, you can even personalize the frame with preloaded photos and memories. How do I, Greg Miller from Kinda Funny, know so much about Aura? Because I just gave Jen one for her birthday. I used the QR code on the box to preload it with photos of her and Benny. And when she booted it up for the first time, she got to see a sweet little message from me. I like this frame so much that I am actually legitimately buying one for my mother for Mother's Day. From grandmothers to new mothers, aunts, and even friends in your life, every mom loves an Aura frame. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping for their best-selling frame. That's auraframes.com. Use code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to save. And mom, if you see this before you get your Aura frame for Mother's Day, please act surprised. So when you talk about the excitement and you talk about it being excited, what does that visualize for you? Is it just holding your child? Is it getting to riding a bike, playing a video game, working on a thing? Is it all of the above?
So I as you know, and I think I've mentioned before, I lost my father when I was 15.
Yeah.
He was murdered. Sucks. It was awful. My little brother was 5. And, life still has to go on. So, like, my eldest siblings were older and, like, going to college. And, like, I had... I spent a lot of time with my little brother from 5 up, like being kind of like, not babysitter, but like the responsible
surrogate
adult
father.
while my mom's working. So like I taught my little brother how to ride a bike. Like I on the bus taught him about multiplication and stuff like that. And it's like that feeling was so satisfying of like being like, oh yeah, so it's groups and then you're adding these 2 groups. Just being like, it hit, like he understood.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
And have so many things to teach,
For sure.
It's
you
just,
definitely have a lot to teach. I've seen you watch every YouTube video under the sun. So yeah, I understand.
Always be learning, Greg.
I appreciate it. Again, this is why you are the dad. And I think what's interesting about that is, for me, in my journey and why I think of you the way I think of you, I wonder, is that remove the younger brother and your story is very similar in terms of losing a father to my father, where his dad died when he was around 5. You know what I mean? And it was that jump time periods quite a bit, right? Like he was the youngest boy. He had an older brother and an older sister, and the older brother had to go to Vietnam, and my dad didn't because he was then man of the house, right? He had like, that's how gendered it was at the time and stuff like that. And like what I know my dad carried to take care of his mom, who was, of course, a very independent, amazing woman or whatever, but like to be man of the house, to be part of that thing. And like, you know, how much outside of just Ranger Danger in the pickup truck, I see of my dad in you. You know what I mean? Of like you wanting to help and bend over backwards and bring what you gave a weed whacker to Roger today, heard or he brought it back.
Brought it
yeah,
back.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, but that's such a thing. You know what I mean? And like, the entire time I've known you, have known how much you want to be a dad. You've made that very clear. Not in a gotta happen right now thing, but like, you know what I mean? You're looking forward to it. And I wonder how much of that comes from the fact that you got that taste early on, that you had to step up and be for Spencer, you know, his father figure, right? And be there for it. And I assume so much of that comes with, and I'm projecting for sure, but like if I was a father figure at 15, the mistakes I would have made and the things I shouldn't have done and yada, yada, yada.
It's funny you say that, like, because that always does bum me out, because it's like I wasn't in a place where I wanted to be a father figure. Or like,
not to mention you're grieving on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Equipped for it, as you know.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So yeah, I don't know. Every once in a while, I do think about that, and it's just like I don't know, a lot of sadness of like I hope that like I helped him, you know,
sure,
be the person he. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like I.
Have you talked to him about it?
I mean, it's difficult. It's a very emotional topic for us, both of us. The movie Onward came out a couple of years ago, and let me tell you, a lot of that movie like reminds us both of us, and like we went to go see it together, and like we had a real tough moment afterwards. Not like we had a very emotional moment afterwards. Where we both it felt like, oh man, they really nailed our life, huh? Yeah, and it's weird. It never happened before with a Pixar movie, you know, like that.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah, I don't know. It always bums me out when I hear someone say that or think about it of like, oh, you're his father figure, and it's like, fuck, man, wasn't equipped then. I hope. I think I'm in a better place.
For sure. I mean, I've seen you mature as a person. You know what I mean? In the 10 years I guess more than that with Kind of Funny or IGN.
IGN.
That's fun. I used to say IGN when I meant Kind of Funny. I was saying Kind of Funny. I mean, IGN. But no, like, I think you have. You know what I mean? And I think, even though I don't know Spencer well, I think he would say the same and see that, right? I think it all comes with time. And again, especially to have, you know, this is where we talk about representation mattering and seeing yourself on film and stories, to have a story like that can have those touchstones to it. Like, I think that adds to it. Because again, it is lost, I think, of like, if you got to step up and do that thing there, like it's very easy to then be like, oh, well, you got to put your side, your grief, your everything else to the side, right? And I think, you know, one of the, you know, I have a giant toy box chest here, the toolbox of amazing Kevin Coello moments. But like one of the most understated we've ever had is last year when I came back from Jen's mom and she had passed. We were doing the morning meeting and talking about shows, and we got to the Kind of Funny podcast. And I was like, you know, we started talking about like, actually, I just want to do this me and Tim. And it wasn't like, this, I don't want it to sound like I'm putting the rest of the team down. There wasn't like a laugh in my face, but there was a chuckle of like, that's a strange thing to say. And you were the only one in the room who said, guys, he just went through something traumatic and he wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like, I'm not at all trying to say me losing my mother-in-law is the same as you losing your father.
Yeah.
But I understood that came from that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I understood that you got it on a level that other people necessarily wouldn't.
I mean, you know, tragedy doesn't quite hit everyone at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like other people don't understand what it is to like have that grief with you. And like, I know how much podcasting about stuff is an outlet for you.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Therapy for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have your own outlet? That's something I worry about with you.
I mean,
again,
I'm a talker. Like
I noticed.
You know what I mean? Like I talk about what I'm feeling to get it out. And yeah, I mean, I think that I'm able to do that without annoying everyone.
Sure.
It's nice to just meet up with a friend and just to fucking talk their ear off for, you know, 2 hours or 3 hours. But yeah, so that, I mean, that's what I've always done. That's what I continue to do. You know?
One thing we haven't touched on in this conversation that I know we need to is How is Paula doing? This is very much the father cast and the dad cast, but of course she's doing all the work.
Yeah. I don't want to speak too much for her.
Of course.
Like it seems like it's tough.
Yeah.
But like I think that as far as it being tough, I think that she like is reflecting and being like, whoa, I have things a lot easier than what I'm seeing, people's reactions to things normally on. Like I said, she only had a couple bad days of like morning sickness.
For sure.
And like I can't really do anything because I'm feeling too dizzy. And so I think things are going smoothly.
Yeah.
But like it's still tough. It's big changes, massive
yeah.
changes to her body that are happening.
Yeah.
That like she like feels and like can only articulate to me of like, hey, this kind of feels, I'm feeling this right now, and it's tough. Like, so I think things are going well. Like talking to her, it seems like things are going well. But of course, this is massive, and like it still seems overwhelming for her. Yeah.
For sure, and it's only changing day by day.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest thing. Jen jokes around a lot about like our announcement photo of us with the sonogram out front in the house, right? And it's that thing where she's like, she remembers feeling so big, and like she's just got this tiniest bump, and like to get to where we were when Ben finally was about to arrive, and she was just humongous, right? And like now when we look back at those photos, and you're like, oh my god, like to even like for her, I feel like in the way that I'm talking to you about these snapshots and really taking it in. It's like when it's literally the frog in the pot of water, right? Where it's like by the time it's boiling, you don't even realize how crazy it is till you look way back and see it, or go through, everything that happens to have a baby, after a baby, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I also do want to clarify that like I think it being a little overwhelming, I think that's extremely normal, and like anyone going through that experience would be feeling the exact same thing. Especially when it's your first one.
Nothing you said was off base at all. For as somebody who's been through it,
I just want to make sure.
I appreciate it. You're like, I'm not trying to say Paula's overwhelmed, but like, no, the experience in general is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Of like, I'll speak for Jen on this because we've talked so much about it. It was just like to be this person in this body for this long, and suddenly every lizard brain DNA encoded instinct kicks in to do this thing, and your body changes and morphs and like in hair changing and falling out, or it's like it's outrageous, like the way again the human condition is built to do this. And like again, what a miracle it is that anybody is born, period. Let alone the fact that it will go through and change a person's life this way. Physically. I'm excited for you, man.
Me too. It's so like I'm excited for the paternity leave. I'm excited that we do such a good long stretch for it.
Yeah.
Like that all seems like we got a puppy not too long ago. And it was the first time we got like a 2-month-old puppy. It wasn't 4 months like Cecil was.
Yeah.
Like Cecil would sleep for 3 or 4 hours. Ram would wake up every hour on the hour.
Yeah.
And, need to go potty. And then I had to put him back to sleep. And it's like, you don't have paternity leave for puppies.
Yeah.
But like, so I had weeks of doing that, probably like 3 weeks of doing that. And then coming to work and like working the normal schedule of life. And it was so hard and like mentally exhausting to try to function like a normal human being after being woken up, 8 times. And it's just like the idea of like, okay, obviously it's way more serious because it's a kid, but like I also now have the time to rest in the day. Like that seems so exciting. And it's also like, all right, you got to figure out a good schedule where you both are getting rest and able to like be fully there. Cause like with the dogs, there were definitely times where I zonked out, fall asleep on the floor next to him, and he's running loose. Or there was a time where Paula, I don't know if I told this story or not, but Paula heard the dog barking, came out, and I was laying on the laundry room floor, slumped against the wall, just knocked out because this was towards the end of it.
Yeah.
And she like woke me up. She's like, go back to bed. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I fucked up, fell asleep. And I walk over, open the microwave where hours earlier I put in a brownie, forgot about it. It had completely gotten cold again. It was like rock hard, grabbed it, sat down in my dining room and started eating it, and it was like not something a normal human. Yeah. And she's like, "What are you doing? Go to sleep." And I was like, "Oh,
I can't waste this brownie."
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely when Cole is an amazing dog.
Yeah.
He's so much different than Porty in terms of temperament and ability to train. And yeah, there was the falling asleep on the kitchen floor, throwing a toy, and just wake up hours later, and he's like, "All right, let's go to bed, I guess." Whatever.
Yeah.
But that maternity leave was like such a special time of, you know what I mean? Like running the craziest schedules. I joked with you, but it's a true story, right? Of like when it's all said and done and I'm at Ben's wedding recounting whatever the stories are of his birth and all these things, like I will always talk about the month-long period where it was we'd wake up to feed him at 3:30 in the morning and I would turn on Fran's stream and we would comment and hang out.
We talked about it yesterday.
Exactly, right? And it's like there's that, but then it also was the walks and the bonding and the this and the other, like, and this is again where I'm like, I'm so interested to see Kevin Coello, like the guy who gets everything done in Mr. Home Depot and you know what I mean? Like the guy I wish I was when it comes to a tool belt.
It's a lot of pressure, Greg. It's a lot of pressure you're throwing out there.
It's true. But I can't wait to see what your paternity leave is like. Because like, if you remember, I left with such grand plans of like, well, I'm going to organize the shed. I'm going to do this thing. And like, none of that happened. And it wasn't running around hair on fire all the time, but it was like, you're up and you're helping, you're doing it, and now he's asleep, so why don't we sleep and we watch it. We marathon The Sopranos forever and like did all these things, and it was like such beautiful memories for me and Jen as we transitioned into these new roles, right? You know what I mean? Where it's like you can imagine being a dad and being a mom and doing all this stuff, but to actually be there, right? To actually have that. We're leaving the hospital and we are leaving the support system that was like with us since he's been out of what happens and then what comes next and so on and so forth. Like,
and I think that's a big reason why I'm not making any of those plans.
Sure.
Like, I remember you saying that of like, I'm going to do these things and coming back with like, oh, you don't have time to do anything.
I did nothing, but it was great.
And it's like, so in my mind, like my only plan is like, I'm going to set up a good sleep schedule. You know what I mean? I'm going to figure out when I can be helpful at night and then figure out when I can go to sleep in the day to like make up for that time.
Yep. You got to pick a game too. Mine was Far Cry.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I tried again. I was like, I'm going to play everything. And that's why Far Cry was great because it was like come in and play for 10 minutes or 10 hours, whatever it's going to be.
There's so many games. My back catalog of games is like absurd.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm doing very little.
I know, but I mean, you know, this is a big step. Obviously, you're jumping off on it. And I'm so excited to see what happens next and see who this child becomes and see you as a father and see Paul as a mother and all these different things.
Me too.
Anything else? Oh, I said chat. What questions do you have? I want to make sure I know. Kyle recommends Starfield. Starfield's my game for that.
Starfield would be a really good game.
It would be. Yeah, you jump in there and do all that stuff. Yeah. Did you ever play?
I think I played like 8 hours of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been busy doing so much.
No one's judging you. I'm not playing a giant RPG. Don't worry about that. That's fun with that. Yeah.
Well, it's just one of those things that like I've been like we planned this or we didn't plan this, right?
The baby?
We started talking and making like moves happen like a while. Like it was
how long is it? I mean, that's a weird question. I know.
So no, it's okay. So August when we were in our when we went to Greece.
Okay.
We were like, should we do this? Like, I mean, it was more Paula being like, I don't know. I think I'm getting older. We should probably get to a place.
I gotta do this to get it done before it's over.
You're gonna make me, and it's like, no, I'm not making you. No. She was like, I think I'm ready, and like, I think we could do this. And I was like, okay, yeah, great. And then it wasn't until we got back, then we got a puppy, and it was like, oh, maybe we should wait a little bit longer. I think like November,
okay,
goalie's out, and like we're trying, and like December came by, and it was like, oh, nothing didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And then January came by, and it was like, maybe we should do a little bit of research of when, to make things.
I'll tell you what, if you're watching and you've never tried to make a child, and granted, I'm sure in high school when you're all very much more potent, it's different, but they drive it into your head. You have sex once. You fucking sniff a dick, you're going to get fucking pregnant. And it ain't that way.
No.
There's so many goddamn apps and cycles in this.
So like originally we were planning on like it'll probably take a long time because a lot of our friends has taken a long time. And it was like, all right, should we plan like another big trip? And it's like, oh yeah, like if we're not expecting next August, let's go to this place or that place.
Yeah.
But like I had a bunch of things in motion that I've been slowly working on in the house to try to get things dialed in and ready there. So I just, for the last like 6 months, I felt like I've been already trying to get things to the right spots.
Yeah.
And it's just like, feels like, yes, it's finally here. But also, I don't know, like it just still feels so far away. And it feels like so much time has already passed.
It does such a great job. And I mean, you can tell me too, because you're in the thick of it now. What for me, our lives move so quickly, and I feel like our lives always move quickly because it is, all right, cool, we're taking Gamescast daily on this thing, then it's SGF, then it's this review, then it's end of the year, then it's Game Awards. Like there's always these things. And so on top of how busy our lives are, period, for professionally, when it came to Jen being pregnant, it was also then 3-week appointment next month here, then you got to see this person. Like there were so many, now you're getting into the childbirth classes and this and finding out, like there were so many little tent poles like that it felt like that's what really made the snowball move so much quicker down the hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those monthly appointments, it is one of those things of like, I got to make sure to put that in the calendar, talk to people so that we're clear, especially now that schedules are changing around a little bit. I can't wait for it all to be done and we be there.
Yeah, I know.
There.
We be there.
Yeah.
It's good English. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's see what's happening over here in the chat. Sunny30 says, when the third trimester hits, get a go bag and have it ready. Fill it with some clothes and supplies for the hospital. Trust me.
I can't wait to build go bags. Because you got one for the hospital, right? Yeah. Then you got to have one for carrying around this kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm excited to find the right bag with all the pockets and everything set up.
The big thing for me is I would say once you build it, make sure you put it in the car. That's what bit us in the ass. Is that we weren't expecting the iron infusion to then also become, oh, he's coming.
Easy trick, just build multiple ones, you know?
Yeah, have
but then
go bags everywhere.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
That's what they're for.
Yeah, that would work too, I guess. Yeah, too. Jake Stepp says, Greg and Kev really making me realize how bad my daddy issues are. My stepdaddy issues even. LMAO. Well, we're sorry, Jake. We're just all trying to. Again, though, I think this is the whole thing. Is it like I feel like our generation being able to be so open and in touch with their emotions and say these things and want to be there and like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Jen's away on a family emergency right now. And I talked about it on a Greg way. I don't even know if it's about this family emergency, but it is the idea that like, that's crazy and it changes everything in terms of what's going on in the workload. But like back to what I was talking about earlier of like capture the moment, like I embrace that of like, okay, cool. Like this is different and weird. And how lucky am I that I get to spend this alone time with Ben in a way that I normally wouldn't, where it's my 41st birthday and I'm taking him to In-N-Out and I'm able to sit there and like, since now we're in a different social setting construct, right? Like it doesn't, I'm sure it doesn't sound like much, but like it was, I put him in his own chair at In-N-Out and then I went to get the food. And it would be that thing where he would watch me leave the table and then turn and try to hop down. And I'd be like, wait. And like he would wait on the first, I had to order 2 things. I came back on the first one, he had sat, and the second one he came down and followed me. And it's like, we're learning this new thing and then having him eat across the table from me when usually he's between me or Jen, or, you know, we've moved away from high chairs sometimes in restaurants. It's like all these little things of learning, let alone then like really testing the recall of like, all right, you can touch the door, but let me throw away the trash and then you know what I mean? Like there's so many special things to have in those moments of it. Yeah. And like, again, like I'm sure like I sent Jen all the In-N-Out birthday photos. 'Cause like before she got called away, she's like, what do you want to do on your birthday? I was like, oh, like nothing crazy, but I want to go to In-N-Out. Like he's only been to In-N-Out inside of it when we did the 9 months in, 9 months out photo shoot thing.
Yeah.
And even then, I think maybe since then he's had maybe a burger like we brought home one time. And so she's like, okay, cool. So to make that happen, and then I sent her the photos, and she's like, this looked like a really special thing. And I was like, it is, because I didn't even think about it till I was there, of the memories of my father taking me to Cock Robin in Wheaton, which was this old-timey burger place that was like a Wheaton staple that eventually closed up. But like, it was that thing of like, having the kid recontextualizes everything about both my parents. And so to sit there and have that memory trigger, and I've thought about my dad taking me to Cock Robin for sure, but trigger in the way of like, wait, he did that just me and him. Why? And it's like, and that was like, and I was like, well, it happened a lot. So it must have been like a spend time with your son, go get a burger with him. And this is what he chose. And it's like, wow, like that's crazy to think about. You know what I mean? In terms of trying to reverse engineer the memories you have and probably took for granted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a lot about, our original house, which was just a ranch house that I'm sure was incredibly small, but I don't think of it that way as a kid.
Right, because you were small.
But it's that thing of like, I remember playing hide and seek when my dad would come home from work. And I remember so vividly hiding in the hamper and him finding me. And like, when I play hide and seek with Ben now, or even when I come home and he flips out, it's like, oh, fuck, like, is this the memory he remembers? You know what I mean? Like, we're doing the thing where we're making this stuff, and it's like so crazy to recontextualize your childhood and be like, my parents didn't know shit.
Yeah.
I always thought they were the adults and they knew everything, and they didn't know anything.
That's like such a scary thing, realizing, oh, like your parents were just
just people,
kids,
yeah.
You know. I mean, like, I don't know what my parents were older when they had me. My mom was, well, not older. She was 29 when she had me.
I was gonna say my mom was 30, yeah.
And my dad was 33. Oh, same age I am. Huh.
And the
hadn't
age of
thought
Jesus.
about that. That's true, age of Christ.
Yeah.
That's funny. I hadn't put that together that my dad was 33 when he had me. I'll be 33.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll be 34. Yeah. All right.
It's
Well, the
over.
magic's
It's
gone.
It's ruined.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, like when they had their first kids, they were 7 years younger than that, and like that's young.
Yeah.
I can't imagine when I was now I got to do math. 33, 26,
Yeah.
27, yeah.
Yeah.
Having kids and like being parents, and it's just so weird that like, that's all it is. It's just like suddenly you've got to take care of this little thing.
Yeah,
and
you do your best.
You step
right?
up, and so many people do, and things go good enough.
Yeah, I said something to my mom after Ben was born, and we had been at it a while, where I was just like, I can't imagine having him when I was your age. You know what I mean? And she was like, what? And I was like, when you were 30, I think about like, if I had done that, like Ben would be 11 now, you know what I mean? Or whatever the kid would. And she's like, yeah, but that's a weird way to think about, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what it was. And that's not how, and it's like, every parent does the best they can and has, whatever their own circumstances are going to be for it. And like, that's the thing is like, like if you're listening or watching and you're thinking about it, or one day, like, and then back to us and how low the bar is, like, it really is just show up. It really is just be there. It really is just listen and engage. And you know what I mean? I think, me being a big kid, you being a big kid is so helpful in the way that like when Ben's like, I want to watch Slimer, I'm like, let's fucking go. But when he's like, I want a new Hot Wheel, I'm like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like I can't wait for him to get to, I want to play baseball. I want to play soccer. I want to go to the Giants games. I want to like, he loves all those things now and we do it. But I mean, when one of those hobbies becomes a passion, when it really is like, oh, this is my interest. Because that's like, for me, the big thing of like, what I think about with my parents. And again, this is never me talking shit about my parents, but like, a great example and analog is my dad would take me every Wednesday to get comics. He'd pick me up for school and we go get comics. And that was our thing. But my dad was in it because my dad loves collecting shit, as you can tell by his giant Coca-Cola collection. He didn't love the comics. He loved the collecting, and he loved fostering in time with
collecting.
Me.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I look back at that now, and I'm like, awesome. When Ben has that, I want to go that extra level, and I want it to be that comics, TV shows, books. he's consuming content, I'm going to consume the same content.
Yeah.
And I know it's very much, it's probably similar to, I'm going to fix the shed during paternity leave. But like when he goes to school and he has English assignments, I want to read the chapters when he goes to bed, and then at breakfast talk about hey, chapter, well, that was great, and da-da-da, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure life will get in the way of that many a time, but I just think back to...
But again, the fact that you want to and that you're hoping to do that, you know what I mean? Like that, I think is already, like you're saying, like that's putting you in a better spot. Like you clearly care more than, so many.
Exactly, so many. Not my parents. I don't want. Exactly. I want to make sure we're clear. Like, if my mom's made it into this episode, I want to make sure she's not thinking I'm saying she's a bad mom. It's just the idea of like
fantastic.
iterating on all of this stuff, right? And again, like back to it, us being children, and like I think it being far easier to be a grown adult child in 2024 than it would have been in 1990 or whatever, as you're trying to make life work or whatever. But like, it'll be just see how that all nets out. You know what I mean? Because again, like. Already, I try to be an authentic fan of whatever he's watching, whether it be Cars or Paw Patrol or Handyman Hal.
Hey, you got Bluey. I feel like that makes things so much easier.
I'm the bigger Bluey fan, though. I just wish I could make him care more about Bluey. Yeah. The way to get him to watch a Bluey is that I have to beat him to the TV and have Bluey like queued up.
Yeah.
And then it comes out of sleep mode, and I just play the song. He's fine.
Yeah.
But if he sits down, it's always I want to watch people playing with toys. And then usually I want people playing what, and then he'll tell you
that's
cars,
so
Jeeps,
wild.
whatever. Yeah,
that's so wild that like your kid can pick anything, and he's like, I want to watch someone playing with. Like that's such a like. I never like growing up, never thought that'd be a possibility of like a kid is gonna choose this.
Definitely not. But it actually, I always think it like, because like one of the things we've been going through lately is like the official Disney, not channel, but Cars team made a show where they're using all the new cars and doing stuff. So there's like a narrative, and they're doing and it's kids playing.
I think I've seen it.
And it's like such an evolution of the toy commercials we grew up.
Yeah.
When you're watching Batman, and all of a sudden it is like
G.I.
Joes are doing whatever. And it's like they're doing that in like a giant sandbox and building ramps, and it's like it's not just garbage. Sometimes it is. It's not just garbage though. Usually because there's like. Ben loves monster trucks, so he'll watch the Monster Jam channel, and they have this kid who actually goes and makes his ramps, and then they cut it with the footage that he went and saw from the night before. And it's like, it's actually pretty good. You know
does he then go and try to make a ramp in the backyard?
Yeah, well, we have a whole bunch of Hot Wheel tracks and stuff like that. Yeah, he's big on all that. Yeah. I can't wait to see what your kid's into.
Yeah.
Better be Ghostbusters.
Man, I was hanging out with a friend recently who has a kid, has two kids, and he was like, yeah, my kids, like, they're into soccer, and I've become the soccer coach now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know anything about soccer, so I've like been doing research, and it's like, oh man, I hope that's not where I'm at, you know?
See, I'm just such a fan of being a fan.
Yeah.
That I really do feel like, let's go. What do you want? But then it will be like, hitting up my friend Ashley, who was Mizzou softball. How do I do it? Hitting up Hunter, being like, what do I do? What is it going to be? Yeah. Figure out soccer, which I guess I talked to Mike.
But it does suck being as outgoing as I am, because I think that, like, if that's a possibility of, like, this sports team needs a coach, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll make the time. I'll Google it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
But it's also like, it's just a bunch of kids running around.
Hey, you can't trip any of them.
Well, yeah, that's true. I guess that's true.
Where's the fun in that?
You can teach your kid to trip them, though.
No, because then I got the one bully kid.
I'm looking over here. There's just a lot of people commenting on it. They're not asking all the questions, but it's been good. Joey, I'll Google it. Kind of funny game says, Mike, not Bless. Yeah, no, Blessing doesn't play sports. He doesn't know anything about sports.
Okay.
I know, but it's a joke from that one time when that one guy was over like, I know you don't play sports, whatever. Kevin? I'm excited for your child to arrive around October.
Me too.
Is there anything you need to say right now you want to get off your chest?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Sad for that paternity leave.
I am too. Remember, you get 2 weeks.
You said that earlier.
No, I didn't.
You did. You accidentally said 2 weeks off.
What? Is this show?
2.5 months. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Instead of 2.5 months.
Well, we'll do it by the
Maybe
letter
3,
of the law.
I don't know.
Let me tell you, EDD. Oof. The government.
Can't wait to have that conversation with you at some point.
They're not great. Well, it's not a conversation with me. It's with the government.
No, but like Nick was like, maybe talk to Greg about how that all goes.
Oh, it doesn't go well.
I was like, okay.
I think it'll be easier since I've done it, where we can just be like, all right, we'll fudge your dates just to whatever. You know what I mean? Because it's like, but well, it's going to be legit. He'll get the time off, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, they wanted, like, because it was like, you got to do it like on the day. I'm like, I got bigger things happen on the day than to report to fucking EDD about when it doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin's going to be a dad, and we can't wait. Of course, thank you for all of your support. Kevin wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have a job if you weren't supporting us by subscribe, sharing this podcast, rating it, ranking it, belling it, all that jazz. But most importantly, having a Kind of Funny membership either on Patreon or YouTube, where you can get each and every episode of this show ad-free. You can watch us record it live as we record it, like Lemon Bendy is, like Unique Technique is, like Kyle the Fish is. Of course, you'd also get the Greg Way video vlog series. That's also a podcast. It's a multimedia experience. But I digress. No bucks tossed our way. No big deal. You can get the Kind of Funny podcast each and every week, where 4, sometimes 2 best friends gather around this table, each coming to talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. Until next time.
Well, one thing, I do want to thank everyone that has been responding to our posts and stuff.
Yeah.
The amount of nice words coming at me has been incredible. The amount of best friends that have reached out and been like, you're going to be an amazing father. You and Paula are going to be phenomenal parents. Paula's going to be a great mom. It's just I am so lucky. And I know that this isn't the normal experience people have, to just have so much love and support just constantly being thrown at us with everything. So thank you guys so much. I try my best to go and or respond to as many things as I can, but it is an overwhelming amount of love and positivity that I get. So thank you, everyone that reaches out and is positive. It's incredible. I'm so fortunate to have this life.
You all are the best. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.